So the Trump administration will appeal the decision, but one thing that this decision makes very clear is that they are vacating the existing orders, and that the government is permanently enjoined or prevented from assessing these tariffs on companies at this time. So it's not all tariffs, but the tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act are, for now, they're on hold. And then we will see. I think there may be an appeal over time, but I've actually read the opinion. It's about 49 pages, and it makes very clear that the International Economic Emergencies Powers Act is narrow. It's narrow in scope compared to what was being done here. In other words, is this really an emergency? And are these tariffs really addressing the emergency? The court didn't think so.
Right. And I think that's critical to highlight here, that this ruling only applies to the use of this emergency mechanism to impose the tariffs, which opens the question, could we see the administration turn to other mechanisms like Section 301, Section 122 to impose similar tariffs? Can you shed light on what the Trump administration's other options are if they want to push ahead with some of these reciprocal tariffs?
Yes. So there are other provisions under which tariffs remain. And some of those are punitive tariffs, so they're intended to punish. And so they are intended to stick, and they're a little bit hard to get rid of. Some of those would be, for example, the Section 232 tariffs on aluminum and steel. Those will stay in place. And we have had Section 301 tariffs on Chinese goods, even under the previous administration, which were pretty harsh. So I can imagine that the administration will look at these provisions again and see if they can use 232 or 301 or some other mechanism whereby they can enforce the tariffs. Those provisions do require an investigation, and I think that's the difference here. All of the tariffs that we're talking about today with IEEPA were issued under executive order and pretty much just by the executive branch.
Right.
When you look at these other sections, you're going to have the involvement of the Commerce Department and other agencies investigating whether there really has been damage.
So what does that mean for the timeline if we do see the administration move to try to impose these tariffs under a Section 201, 301, 122? How quickly can they move to impose them if we do need an investigation for him to do so?
In my opinion, it would take a while. It would, because those investigations begin with a preliminary announcement, and then comments are accepted, the investigations continue, the Commerce Department has to gather a lot of information, and it can take months and months. So in my mind, we have a little bit of a reprieve for a good period of time before another set of rules is going to be acceptable. Also, whether or not they can prove damage, I don't know.